everybody. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Wendy Stuart, and I know you are looking for Tym Moss. Tym Moss is on the road with our incredible comedian friend, Ike Velli. They are doing 50 Shades of Gay in Atlanta, I believe at another Fringe festival. So Tym won't be with you here today, but you know what? I'm good enough for everybody, aren't I? No, Tym and I just had the pleasure of working together at the Lower Eastside Festival. I know some of you who are watching today came and supported us. We were the MCs in the cabaret room, which the performances started at 6:30 and ended at 11 o'clock at night. That was, by the way, the longest show I have ever emceed in my entire life, and I loved every minute of it. What was so great was it amazes me the amount of talent in New York. We had something there for everybody, and we had a really supportive, packed audience. I think like the last 20 minutes, the audience started to get a little smaller, but I've performed there, and I have to tell you, this audience that we have, they were just so great. So we had an amazing time doing that. And while I'm on the subject of performances, this Sunday, if you'd like to see me perform and a number of other people that have been guests on this show, we will be doing a hair band show. I'm going to explain what that is at Industry Bar. Doors open at 6 and the show starts at 7. And okay, what's a hair band, right? No, it's not this thing that I have in my hair. In the 70s and 80s, that was a name for what rock bands are, like Joan Jett and the Black Hearts or Alice Cooper, any of those people, right? They had a lot of hair. So we're all going to be slapping on our wigs and getting out there to perform for you. It'll be with the Imperial Court of New York. And of course, everything the Imperial Court does is to raise money for other LGBTQ organizations. So yeah, we hope that you're going to come there with us. I know I have more to tell you. Oh my gosh. A really wonderful friend of mine, producer, Shannon, is having her film screening tonight for 9 Little Indians, a documentary about what happened to the children that were sent to the orphanages and boarding schools that came from the First Nations. And again, you know, these kinds of films are like investigative reporting because it's up to the filmmakers to really get in there, get the information and get the truth out, right? Which is why we love documentaries. Okay, that's my segue. I'm cheating. But my guest today is an incredible documentary filmmaker, and she's going to be talking to us about her very important film. It's called The Heist, and wait till you hear what it's about. But if she looks familiar to all of you, you know her. She was on Ryan's Hope, on One Life to Live, countless television performances, Broadway shows, and you know what? Let me just share her name with you. Please welcome Ilene Kristen. Come on over.
Hey.
In the hot seat. How are you?
Two blondes.
I know. No, I'm calling this segment the Blonde Ambition Show.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So you have to be blonde to like be on the camera today. What can I tell you? Oh, I'm going to come down a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to have you come up
Where's
a little
my
bit.
pillow?
Oh, wait, I have
Where's
to.
my
Do you want a pillow? Okay.
Sure.
Okay,
I'll
we're
try
really
it.
crazy on this show. Try
I
sitting
don't
on
know.
the.
Now I'm going to be too.
Right. See,
No, that's
we're perfect, right? Now, this is like really great visual. The pillow trick. Because Ilene's been doing this for forever. She knows the trick to like.
I know a lot of tricks.
Right, right. Did they ever have you get on the, one of those square wooden boxes?
Of course. I once did a commercial where the director said to me, I didn't realize you were so short.
Ooh.
And well, I said, listen, I came to see you twice. I had a call back. I didn't hold a gun to your head. So, you knew what my height was, but they put me on a little box. And
I love it. You know what? They put you on a pedestal. So a little backstory. I met Ilene at the Explorers Club through an amazing artist friend of mine, Ronnie, who is having a show at the National Arts Club. Wendy's always plugging, June 4th.
I'll be there.
And I'll be there too. We'll both be there. And if you're watching this show and you're looking for a really great evening on June 4th, hit me up. Everyone knows me on Facebook. I am everywhere. And you can come on down and support our amazing artist friend, Ronnie.
She's great.
She is really a great person. But Ronnie, and like many of us, we're always looking for interesting friends to bring to the Explorers Club. You got to be interesting, because the people that are members, myself included, we're all like interesting.
Everybody is interesting.
They're interesting, eclectic, or let us just say really out there. And some of them are incredibly brilliant.
Wonderful.
Yeah, explorers, right?
Yes.
So I was so happy that you came as a guest that night, because here we all are. And knowing your history and the industry and everything you've done in it. So let's go back in history a little bit before we get to the meat and potatoes today, which is your film. But how did you start in this industry? You're a Brooklyn girl originally.
I am born in Brooklyn. My dad was a hairdresser, and my mom was just a great mom. And but I kind of grew up in show business because my parents loved to dance, and they were great Latin dancers. And I started doing Latin dance. I think I was about 9 years old, but we used to lie and say I was 8. I can't remember.
Wait, you made yourself younger?
Yeah,
it starts early.
You're a genius if you're 8 years old and you're
you're absolutely right. 6 is even better.
I guess.
Right.
And I could have passed for 6. Anyway, so I started off doing that, but my mother had found out that the incredible dance teacher, Matt Maddox, who had been in so many Hollywood films, he lifted Marilyn Monroe up in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Wow.
He was in so many movies that he was going to be teaching. So I started studying with him when I was about 13 years old, and when I was 14 years old, he asked if I would like to do the Bell Telephone.
The Bell Telephone Hour.
Which was incredible.
Bell Telephone Hour.
He said, would you like to do that show? You don't have to audition. I know you're
Wait, that's music to all of our ears. You didn't have to audition. Right?
My first job I didn't have to audition for. So, it kind of spoils you. But it was so amazing. Robert Young was the host. It was the Thanksgiving show. Carol Lawrence was a guest. John Gary, the singer. But it was such a magical.
And you were 13.
I was 14. I was 14 years old. And, there's nothing like hearing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're on. That's live.
I love it.
And,
that is live.
It was 4 little girls, 4 little boys. And we had to do this thing where we came down a slide and had to go into a cartwheel. I never did a cartwell before that, and I never did a cartwheel after that.
But stop it. You were able to do a cartwheel on
I did it. I don't know.
But
I rehearsed it, but it made me so nervous.
Yeah, cartwheels are wild.
And I never thought I would ever see a copy of this, because there was no kinescope of this, except one of the fans from One Life to Live said that he was archiving the Bell Telephone Hour.
I can't believe it.
He said, if you can tell me the date and what show it might have been, I will find it for you. And I was very nervous about that, because I didn't want to see me do a terrible cartwheel. Right. But I was okay. The amazing thing was, I looked like I was ready to go.
You had it down. You had that. So this footage exists. You have this?
It does. And
I would have shown it on this show today.
I'm going to edit it. Well, it's unedited. It's the whole show. So you have to sit
you
through
need to edit it. Come on. You know how many people would want to see you doing
I want to see it on YouTube.
I love it.
But it was an amazing experience. And then I worked for Michael Bennett when I was 15 years
old. That's a name everybody knows. So
I did Henry Sweet Henry, which was the musical version of The World of Henry Orient.
Okay.
And it was an amazing musical. It didn't succeed, unfortunately.
But you worked with Michael Bennett, and that's the point. Okay, this is everything leading up to this incredible career that you have. These are all. It's important that people know this. The little building blocks that happened along the way. Michael Bennett.
But the interesting thing was, I worked for Michael Bennett on this Broadway show, and then I worked for him for like 3 years after that. But I knew in my heart I was not a good enough dancer to continue being a dancer. Right. I knew that.
But did you have a lot of dance training?
I had a lot of dance training, but I was limited. And I knew, unless I was going to be extraordinary, because I was tiny, I was like 5 feet tall, that unless I was amazing, how was I going to have a career after that?
But you had what we call beginner's luck. Look at what happened to you early on in the game.
And then I started studying when I realized I couldn't do forte turns because Michael was going to have us do. I did the
what's a forte? I'm not a
forte
dancer. So.
Turn it's a very difficult turn. Your leg whips around in a passe position.
Oh, I've seen that. It's almost like a ballet thing.
It is. It's totally a ballet thing.
Like pas de two. No, that's not a correct word, is it? Pas de something.
Trust me when I tell you, it's a very hard.
Yeah, I know. I know what.
And he was going to have us join in with this. I did the Milliken Industrial Show. And
I can't believe the Milliken Breakfast Show.
Yes.
I did the Milliken Breakfast Show. They hired models for that too. The Milliken, and it paid really well. That was a good gig.
I mean, I was only like 15, 16. I did it with Irene Cara.
I love it.
I did it with Biarkley. I did it twice when Michael did it. And it was always great because I didn't have to audition for it. I'd come home from school and my mother would go, Bob Avian, who was Michael's assistant, Bob Avian called. And, it was just really excited. But I realized when Michael was going to ask us to do these forte turns, I went,
I'm done.
I'm done. I'm done. And as it turned out, we were going to be wearing snowsuits. So we couldn't do it.
Oh, my God.
We were going to be wearing the Millikitty snowsuit. They couldn't have us do the...
I'm sorry. She just threw that out there. The Millikitty snowsuit.
Yeah.
It was a kitty, right? It was
for kiddies.
It was for kiddies.
It was for kiddies.
Oh, God.
So after that, I realized I would be a much better actress than I would be an actress who could dance and who could sing.
Yeah. And that's still a triple threat.
Yeah.
What we call a triple threat.
I got Grease, and you had to do all three things.
So Grease was your first, would you say, big production?
Well, it was my first out of the chorus.
Out of the chorus, right. She left the chorus for Grease. Who did you play?
I wasn't a good enough dancer to be in the chorus, quite honestly.
Who did you play in
I played
Grease?
Patty Simcox, the little Lulu of Rydell High.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we did it our first theater that we did it in was right across the street.
She was saying that when she came
Avenue
here.
and 12th Street. So I have a lot of memories.
Second Avenue and 12th. What was it called?
The Eden Theater. And it was an old Yiddish theater in an old vaudeville house, and mostly the Yiddish theater. And Old Calcutta had just been in there, which was a huge success. I
remember that.
So we were hoping that we would be as successful as Old Calcutta, and we were.
And you were.
We were.
And
definitely.
You were, yeah. So was that the first company of Grease?
Yes.
Oh man, that's amazing.
The very first company. Yeah.
That you scored that.
Yeah. No, it was very exciting. It was really
things seem to have happened very, and we're talking about another time when things happened easier.
Well, because it wasn't run by right. When you were cast, it wasn't run by some kind of corporation where you had to make this group of people happy and then this group of people happy. It's a good point, right? So you kind of come in and you could tell if they liked you. Like I remember my first audition, and it was just the director and the two producers and maybe the musical director, and I could tell that they liked me. Right. It wasn't like you had to go like, oh, does everybody have to like me? Like all those. Well, they went from that into everybody liking you into now we are all on tape. So what she's describing early on in the game, that chemistry that you had when you walk in the room is no more. You could really feel something, and they like me. They really like me. Was it Sally Field saying that? I had 3 auditions for it, and by the 3rd audition, my father had taught me how to do the Lindy Hop pretty damn good. So when they started having us dance, I went, I got this. I got this. I'm going to get this because I'm going to make this guy that I'm dancing with, who ended up getting the part of Eugene, I'm going to make him lift me up in the air and put me under his legs. And he went, I don't know how to do that. I go, you want to get this show? Wow. Let's attempt it. That's bold. Let's just attempt it because they'll see that we look so funny as a couple because he was over 6 feet tall. And I know, and you're tiny, and I already it was so perfect. Yeah, it was so perfect that we both got it. We both got it. So, and I did the show for 2.5 years. We moved to Broadway after being here for like 6 months. We moved to Broadway, and I was with the show for at least another 2 years after that. And then I got Ryan's Hope. Right, which was, we're talking about those days when getting a soap. I know when I started in this industry, the thing, everybody who came along with me, do you remember Marcia McCabe? Of course. Oh, funny. So she and I were in acting class together. Now I went through a lot of acting classes with so many people.
Marsha was the only one I knew that got a soap. But later on, I met Colleen Zink, who
Yes,
you probably
I
know.
know Colleen very
But
well.
like two out of, and I know hundreds of people, two out of the whole kit and caboodle, it's not a lot of odds. And everybody wanted a soap because it was steady, it was high
I never thought
profile.
about getting a soap. I prepared myself for a career in comedy as the wacky
That's
next door
really
neighbor.
funny.
No,
That's what I
seriously. Also part of my high school education was that I went on the road with a comedy review for 2 years while I was in high school professional children's
You went
school.
right, and I'm going to backtrack a little there
Yeah.
because when I was reading your bio, that popped up in it. You had gone to regular school.
I went to regular junior high
Richmond,
school. No, I went to Russell Sage.
Right,
High
you
School.
began with an
Yeah,
R. Russell Sage Junior High,
and then when I got Henry, I couldn't continue at a regular school. My father had always wanted me to go to Forest Hills High School. I don't know why.
But because Forest Hills is Forest Hills is where if you were doing well, you moved to Forest Hills.
It was a thing, So I went to professional children's school. And it was fantastic because I was with freaks like me. I was.
Well, no, that's an actual good point. I know when I was a kid, my mother would talk about so-and-so being out of line, out of his mind or whatever, but he had talent. And she would say, that kid needs to be in professional children's school because you know what? These were kids that were out of the box, but you just couldn't be out of the box. You had to be talented.
Oh, you could be out of the box
right.
too. And there were people that were way out of the box who we didn't even know what they did.
Right.
Seriously, they didn't. We had no idea why they were in the school.
Why are they in the school to begin with? Right.
Really fantastic, and there were like only, maybe 15 of us in the class, and a lot of the students were ballet dancers, and they never came to class.
They never came to class at all
because they were doing those forte turns.
Now, from your group in professional children's school, who went on? Some names.
Carol Kane.
Oh my God, Carol Kane! My girlfriend caters for Carol Kane now and her mother over on the West Side. One of my friends. That's funny.
Yeah.
So Carol Kane went to professional children's school.
Yes, she did.
Wow.
Yes, she did. And she wasn't working at that time,
But
her mother was a jazz musician. And I don't know if her mother had traveled and then all of a sudden ended up in New York. And because I think they were originally from Cleveland. But Carol was extremely unique.
Yeah.
Extremely unique.
Well, her look is very unique.
And I went
big eyes and the hair.
Yeah, I went to school with Barry Pearl, who ended up doing the movie version of Grease. And my friend Kenny Morse, who was also in one of the companies of Grease, and to this day they're very good friends of mine.
You stayed in touch with your professional children's school.
Yeah.
But you've all gone on to have careers in the industry too.
Not everybody from PCS is working anymore, but
PCS, in case you were wondering.
It was a very special place, actually. So, but I was on the road, and I was doing a comedy review called The 6 New Happenings. And we had all this old comedy material from
like vaudeville?
No, well, actually, we did something from a vaudeville show called "Take a Bite of My Apple," which
I love it.
Oh my God,
that's so vaudeville, tongue in cheek.
Oh, take a bite of my apple. I mean, I don't even want to go into detail about it, but it was pretty crazy, and I did a lot of the stuff that Joan Rivers had done it upstairs and the downstairs.
Are you kidding?
And material that Fannie Flagg had done. Now I was all of 16 years old.
No, I know. I'm thinking you were a teenager doing material of people way older.
And not only that, I don't know how this happened, but we got booked into the Sahara Lake Tahoe. And we were all like 16 years old. We were underage.
Wow.
We should not have been there. And
somebody greased somebody's palm.
Well, our manager at the time, I'm sure his name was Jackie Bright, and I'm sure he greased someone's palm. We had already been kicked out of the Concord out of Grossinger's.
I met my first boyfriend at Grossinger's. You were fired from Grossinger's
in intermission because we were underage and we were not supposed to be working in the main room there.
But they put you in the main room.
They put us there, but
somebody
was like, well, and how old are you during intermission?
16.
And it was like, hi, 16. And the musical director, Frank Fiore, was all of 15. And
the musical director was
brilliant.
15. I love it. And there they are in the Borscht Belt.
Yeah, there we are. And that's where my parents had their honeymoon. And the next thing I know, my mother and father are escorting us out of there.
I love it.
We got kicked out of Lake Tahoe also.
For being underage.
Oh, yeah. I was like, how old are you? When they met us at the airport, they were like, and when they had seen us at the audition, quite honestly, the people who came to see us from the Sahara Lake Tahoe were stoned out of their mind.
These are incredible stories.
They thought everything we did was funny, and they must have thought we were 20 years old, which we certainly weren't.
Nobody thought to check anyone's age. I mean, now it's really
So
much
there we
more
are.
difficult.
There we are, and we're supposed to go to Las Vegas with the same show. We never got to Las Vegas.
Never made it to Las Vegas.
They sent us home to school, and we were replaced by Johnny Carson.
Stop.
I'm
don't
I'm
let
really
the door
serious.
hit you in the butt on the way out.
I'm really serious. I don't know what
something?
caliber act they thought they were getting, but we were replaced. He came in at least for that weekend.
You know what? And that was it for you.
Yeah.
Well, we know Johnny Carson was the right age too. And he was funny. So there you go.
He was a huge star. We were not.
I know, but you know what? Again, a lot of your stories are what I call beginner's luck, where things just happen.
They just happen.
But they're wonderful. And we talk about that a lot on the show. It's a kind of magic. I'm sure you've heard about the show Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
That's my friend Roberta. That's her nephew, LJ. And I bring this up to you because LJ had been a kid actor, then didn't want to do it. He had a couple of jobs that weren't working out, regular jobs. And his mother said to him, maybe you should call up your agent again. Calls up to his agent. His agent said, there's this workshop thing I'd like you to audition for. He gets the workshop. The workshop is Lost Boys, and the rest is history. Go see the show. He is phenomenal. But you know what? When people watch this show, I want them to know that magic happens.
It can. There's a lot of hard work behind it.
I'm not saying it's a free ride. You got to be in it to win it, though.
But sometimes you have to not stress about where life is going to take you next, and just figure it's going to take you somewhere.
I love her attitude.
I know. I have to feel that way. I mean, should I talk about Heist a little about how that happened?
Oh, we are going to get into that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of time here today.
Go.
She goes with the flow. So, Ryan's Hope.
An amazing experience.
Yeah.
Amazing. Claire Labine and Paul Mayer, who wrote it, were very, very, very special people. And the woman who cast it, Shirley Rich, was a very...
I know Shirley Rich. She was great.
Shirley said to me when I first came in for the thing, she goes, "You're dressed like a hippie. Don't dress like a hippie the next time you come in." And it's like, okay. But she had prepared them for me before I walked in the door. So when I walked in the door and they saw me, they were like, I could see.
So she sold you before you walked in the door. That's a good casting director.
She did. And there weren't that many people that she had come in for each part. And that was also very special. And that's the way it used to be. I think she really only had like 5 people come in for Delia. And if those 5 people weren't right, then she'd go to another well.
Did you feel she was really rooting for you, though? You can feel that sometimes with a casting person when they really want you.
And then I did my on-camera screen test, and I wore the same shirt that I wore in the audition. And
they tell you to do that, by the way.
But the weird thing is it was white, which at that time, the video cameras were not great with white.
And they tell you not to wear white.
Yeah, they tell you, but nobody ever told me not to wear white.
There you go.
I wore white, and the button flew off, and I went right on going, and they went, "That's Delia."
Yeah.
That's Delia.
Perfect.
Because they went, I looked at the button, and I just kept on going.
Yeah.
And
you nailed it.
Yeah.
Would you say that door opening for you really set the stage for the rest of your career?
Yes, I would say so. I never expected to be doing a soap. I always thought I would be on a sitcom because I grew up with I Love Lucy. I mean, she was I consider Lucille Ball my babysitter.
Yeah.
Because as long as I was like sitting in front of the TV watching Lucy, so I kind of was oriented towards her and Gail Storm.
Yeah, my
know,
God,
My
you're
Little
really
Margie.
My Little Margie. I love that show.
That's where I kind of saw
remember
myself.
watching
So
these shows.
the fact that I was doing a soap was rather odd, and it was this tragic kind of character at first, but then they allowed me to do a lot of comedy because I wanted to make people laugh. That was like my goal.
Well, that's your sweet spot.
Yeah.
In entertainment for you.
So I stayed with the show. I stayed with Ryan's Hope for 3.5 years. I left. I went out to California, did a little work out there, sang with some rock groups out there. Didn't really like being in California. Came back, ended up doing One Life to Live.
Roxy, you played?
No, not yet.
Not
I
yet.
did this character, Georgie, a car mechanic, ex-race car driver, car mechanic.
Perfect casting.
So I did
for
that
you,
for a while, and I got fired. And the next thing I knew, they had called from Ryan's Hope, and they went, no, if you're going to be back in New York City, you're going to be doing Ryan's Hope. You're not going to be doing
I love it. I got to go back to the firing because that's huge. Okay, you're how old? Hurt. You're in your 20s.
By that point, I was in my late 20s.
Okay, how does one handle that? Because you had like a really straight shot the whole way through. Everyone loved you.
Well, the firing was the firing was they didn't tell me this, but the firing was Ryan's Hope people had come to them and said, fire her because we're hiring her the next day.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I did not know that, but the next day they called me from.
But did they ever tell you the reason was there?
Yeah, they were firing me to get me back on Ryan's Hope.
Oh my God, that is just, but you didn't know that initially.
No, for 24 hours I didn't know that.
So you had to feel horrible for 24 hours.
I did.
Like, what did I do?
I felt like it wasn't really, it was a, great show and everything, but I was there for like 6 months or something. I had a job. I was going through some problems with my thyroid at that time, and so I wasn't at my peak.
Right.
And it was okay, but the next day I had a job, and
which is totally
so I was
crazy.
Yeah, and then I was at Ryan's Hope for 2 years, and then I got fired from that after 2 years, and that had to do with my thyroid. Again, I was really going through a lot of problems.
But what was the reason?
I would gain weight because of the thyroid. So that was
okay. So now we're talking about the phrase that we use now, fat shaming. If someone gains a couple of pounds,
oh yeah,
and that happened to you, that's pretty awful.
It was pretty awful.
That is really
because
awful.
At my worst, I was Delia was my role,
right.
And they saw eventually. But here was they had to kind of pay me some money, and I got this incredible comedy review called Strange Behavior that we ran at Green Street for about 3 months. We ran at Ensemble Studio Theater.
Love it.
We ran at Green Street, and through that, the Saturday Night Live people saw me. I was very close to getting Saturday Night Live. So, I didn't get it, but
you were seen and considered for it.
Yeah, I was, and the work that I did in Strange Behavior was I played a 5-year-old. That would have been so perfect for Saturday Night Live too. Cleopatra as like a Brooklyn broad, and then I did this song called New Jersey's the State of Mind, where that singer Ricky Lee Jones. Yeah. It was kind of like a Ricky Lee Jones. So I had a cigarette, I had a drink, and I had a bar stool, and I was drunk, and it was trying to like balance the drink, the cigarette, and the bar stool at one time. So, and Mario Cantone was our opening act.
Unbelievable.
And, right. So yeah, all right, I got fired, but they had to pay me 6 months. So I got paid 6 months of a soap opera salary to do
amazing the things that you wanted to do.
I wanted to do. And then they had to call me back. And so in 86, I believe they called me back, and I remember the producer of the show, was Joe Hardy. He was very Truman Capote, and he left me this message going, Ilene, I know I haven't spoken to you in several years, but would you call me immediately? And I went, okay, all right, I guess I got my job back. Because I was down, I had gone through all my, my FU money from ABC.
Yeah, right. Is that what you called it? The FU money?
Yeah,
I love it.
When Joe Hardy had called me and he goes, I have terrible news for you. We're sending Delia away. And I went, are you sending Delia away with 2 weeks severance or 6 months? And it was the longest pause. And I just stood on the phone like, and he goes, 6 months. I go, bye, Joe.
Delia said, bye-bye.
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 So when he called me back, it was great. I had another 4 years on Ryan's Hope, and it was fantastic. And I said, listen, this is my part. I've had to cultivate an off-Broadway career. So while I'm doing Ryan's Hope this last 4 years, please just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me do my thing. And it was great. They wrote a lot of comedy for me. It was really fantastic.
But it also those soaps put people on the map. I've had a number of soap people come on here, and it's amazing. If you've done a major soap, everyone knows you. Even when I announced you today, there are a few people that couldn't tune in, and they're like, "Oh my God, I love her." They love you.
And they're so faithful, the fans.
The fans are so faithful.
And it's so amazing because people will come over to me and they'll go, I don't want to bother you. I go, listen, this is the thing you have to know about people who do soaps. We really don't mind when people come over to us because it was such an intimate experience of doing a soap. It was different than people doing films because that's so untouchable. We were the TV. You could touch us.
TV. But no, that's a good point. It was touchable.
It was so touchable. Yeah. And I said, I that's the way I've met a lot of people.
You become part of their family.
And I've retained my friendship with people that I just met on the street. And
I love it from doing that.
And it was like doing performance art. And it was like doing a theater production in one day.
You really had to have your lines down too. I did a couple of under fives on One Life to Live, and the people that had the main dialogue, it's you don't get a lot of chances. You have to come on there and you've got to be able to learn your lines.
It's pretty scary.
It is scary.
I'll never forget the movie star. Peter Weller was a friend of mine, and he did a couple of days on Ryan's Hope back in the late 80s. And he came over to me at one point and he was sweating and he went, I don't know how you do this. This is the hardest thing. He said, I'm so nervous. I said, look, I'm nervous every day. I just use my nerves. I'm just used to having nerves.
Right.
I got nervous every night in Greece when I'd have to make an entrance.
But at least with a live show, you're doing the lines that you learned and rehearsed again and again. The thing that I found, I only had 1 or 2 lines. That was fine. But when I would watch, the major performers, I'm like, how do they retain this?
No,
how do you retain it? Did you have a little trick that you did?
Well, I would write it out at home in script.
Yeah.
So I would write it. If I was particularly having a hard time, I would hire someone to run lines with me.
That's all the stuff that I do now.
On Ryan's Hope, I can tell you, and on most, I did 10 years on One Life to Live from 2001 until 2011, and everybody liked to rehearse there.
Oh, they did. That was
whereas when I did General Hospital out in LA from 2014 to 2016, I couldn't find the people to rehearse with.
They just didn't.
I don't know where they were.
Wow.
I mean, I have to say Maura West was great.
Yeah.
And Maurice Bernard was great, but sometimes other people, I just couldn't find them. So
you did General Hospital. Louise Sorel then, yes.
Well, I know Louise Sorel, but she wasn't on.
What did she do
Hospital.
That was out in California? I forgot
she
what
did
show.
Days of Our Lives, I believe.
Days of Our Lives.
I know Louise.
I know. I figured that you know everybody.
We never worked together, but I certainly know her.
You know everybody. Well, okay. Now I'm going to do an about face. This amazing career, on camera career. Now you become a producer for something that obviously upset you as much as it upset me.
Yeah. Well, I was sitting in front of the TV one day and screaming out obscenities at someone who thinks he's running the country, and
Could their hair is very orange,
very orange
hair.
So is their skin,
right?
And
their heart is.
And
deep,
it's so
deep
funny because I
black.
had one finger up and I had the clicker in my hand, and I looked at him, and the phone rang, and it was my best buddy, Rebecca Camisa. And I got on the phone with her, and I was trying to shut the TV down, but it was in my left hand. I can't do anything with my left hand. So I said, wait a minute, Rebecca, I got to get this clown, this idiot off. And she said, Ilene, they are starting to fire people in Washington, federal workers. You want to go to Washington? I go, I'm there.
You were there.
Let's go.
Okay, so let me
go.
A lot of people were enraged about this. What put the fire under you that you wanted to go down there and ultimately make a film about this?
First of all, it was illegal.
It was totally illegal, and they totally got away with it.
It was illegal,
right.
And they got away with it. And they were going to make sure that the federal workers who were the whistleblowers in his first administration were not going to be there to go, no, you can't do that. Right. You can't do that. That's illegal. So when Doge came in, which was a group of 19-year-old people
who didn't know, they didn't know anything.
There were emails that went out saying, well, we see you've reached a fork in the road in your career. And I think the emails first went out to a lot of people who were close to retirement age. But
this is so disgusting.
It's so disgraceful. Or people who had huge expertise, 20 or 30 years of huge expertise on and there are so many things that the government does that people are not aware. It just runs so smoothly.
Right.
He
just took all those people though and fired them.
Yes. And they were in between a rock and a hard place. When we went to Washington, a lot of people could not even talk to us because they didn't know if they were totally fired or half fired, or if they were going to be fired if they spoke to us. So we did interviews.
Oh, it's very big brother.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. But we went to Washington not knowing really what the story might be. We went to where the protests were.
I saw that. And the interviews in this film, short little synopsis, okay? As Trump dismantles the federal agencies, these are interviews showing how people's lives were actually upended, people that had really devoted their heart and their soul to their jobs because it meant something to them, right? How has this affected our culture, our future, and what it means to be a civil servant? It's turned inside out and upside down.
First of all, a lot of these people are not getting jobs. Some of them are running for office because they got so disgusted. They were disgusted. Let me try to change this on the other side.
Yeah.
But people are not getting the services that they should. A lot of the veterans are not getting the attention and the focus that they need. They fired the head of the library, this wonderful
Amazing
woman.
Right.
Nurses. They shuttered USAID.
That was really early on, and I remember going on blogs of people that had voted for him, and everyone was saying what a waste USAID was.
A waste.
Oh, I know that. I know, but how did this inside out thinking to the point where people were writing these things as if it were fact? And the people, like I knew people that worked for the Parks Department out in Pennsylvania, gone.
All
right. And I would go on those blogs and read things like, we don't need EM. We don't need them anyway. It's just a waste of money.
Wrong.
Right.
They were there in the national parks for safety,
right,
for cleanliness, for all the pathways being open so that they would have enough people.
And the maintenance of those pathways,
Absolutely.
You have to maintain them.
Absolutely. USAID is tragic. First of all, they stuck garbage bags. They didn't even cut them. They just pulled garbage bags apart and put it on the emblem of USAID. That's the first agency that we recorded. It's shocking.
It's shocking.
And a lot of the people who worked for USAID had been refugees who lived in Africa, and USAID the first boots on the ground whenever
For
there
AIDS,
was
they were USAID,
genocide,
yeah, AIDS, genocide, Ebola,
yeah,
all of that.
all
Now
of that.
it was just like
And so
tossed
they
out.
felt when they moved to the United States of America, how could they? I get it just
I
pains
know.
me.
When I watched the film, I got teary eyed. I think it was the young woman from Alabama
Oh my God!
about
Yes.
packing up her desk, being told she had to leave, like so much garbage. That's what they did, and I don't know how other people in this country, no matter what side you're on, okay, how you can think that that's okay. There's nothing okay about
Yeah,
it.
and anybody who does think it's okay,
It's awful.
it's really
How
awful.
did we
You're wrong.
become so selfish where we can't look at the people that all lost their jobs that did nothing to cause that?
Well, there's so many ways that you get your news now. When I was a kid, there were 3 news stations
Yeah, right.
basically,
Same.
and they kind of, were all in line with each other. But there's so many alternate, and there's so many, QAnon based
QAnon.
things.
I haven't heard about QAnon in a while. You're
Well,
right.
good.
You're
I
right.
hope
The
it's
whole
gone,
QAnon thing
but
was like
it's,
insane.
it's just really tragic. Listen, there's always a little bloat in government.
Absolutely.
When Clinton came in, he shaved off a little because there were certain
In
agencies
the Obama administration
have
too.
to.
Okay, right. But this
nothing.
This
like
was
this.
illegal, and it was actually tragic to do this.
Totally
to people.
tragic
Yeah.
and totally illegal.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I mean, there are so many lawsuits, but in the meantime, there are people not working, and we are not getting the services that we need as a population.
This is just fine with a lot of your fellow Americans, and I think that's what freaks me out more than anything. We know that the fish stinks at the head.
Yes,
but I can't believe that people still hang on to this being okay. It's disgusting. Now I have to ask you, the way the film is structured, you got all these interviews. Take us back to the actual scenario. The director called you up and said, let's go to Washington. How did you get all those interviews?
Well, she had the camera. Usually she has a camera crew.
Right.
She's done a lot of films for HBO. She's been nominated for 2 Oscars before.
And please say her name again.
Rebecca Camisa.
Thank you, Rebecca Camisa.
Yeah. And so she said, look, I'll run the camera. You run the sound.
Okay, that's right. That was your crew.
Yeah, that's our crew.
Film and sound.
We had a cart, and we went through Washington, and we just did it. Rebecca really knows her way.
But how did she find out that they would be cleaning out their desk that day? How did you get people to talk to you? It's all the
we have
logistics.
a friend who helped us a great deal. And I cannot mention her name.
Okay.
But she helped us a lot. And she said, okay, go to such and such, go to this. And then once we were at certain protests, there'd be another protest somewhere down the road. So then
it's kind of mushroomed.
Other one.
Wow.
And then we would find the people that would talk to us.
And was again, I watched the film. Was that hard to find the people? Because
people
it's
were scared.
It's scary. It's very scary.
People were scared, and they went, I'm not exactly fired yet, but I can't talk. And some people said, I'll talk, but I may have to call you in a week, and you can't use this. So that happened too, that people talked to us, and then a week later we couldn't use it. We totally understood that, and we made that promise to them. So I had to leave Washington several times. I was working on a committee for SAG-AFTRA, so I had to do negotiations on a particular, as a volunteer for SAG-AFTRA, we were on these committees. So I had to go out to California, and then I came back to Washington. Then I had to go out to California again, then came back to Washington. So Rebecca was there over a period of 4 months, and she just went where the story, sometimes you don't know what you got until the editor looks at it. And we also felt that a good friend of ours looked at some of the footage and said, well, these agencies, what did they emanate from? And they emanated from Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Of course.
The New Deal.
Yeah, the New Deal.
And so all these New Deal incredible programs to put people back to work, to have people have what they needed as a civilization.
Sure, they're being disassembled. That's exactly,
and that was their goal,
Of course.
because that's socialism,
Right.
And
meanwhile, the same people that have gone against this, they collect their Social Security check and they want their benefits.
Yeah, they want their benefits.
You
and
know?
So is that socialism?
Right.
That, you put in, I've been working since I'm 14 years
You
old.
have been.
And,
Right.
Anyway, we got nominated for Heist, we got an Emmy nomination.
And that's happening tomorrow. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm very nervous, actually. I had butterflies in my stomach.
Well, I'm very excited to hear about that.
Yeah.
Where this is going to be at Lincoln Center?
It's at Lincoln Center Jazz.
Love
and it's a beautiful auditorium there. And so that's where we'll be tomorrow. But I'm nervous.
This is so great.
I'm honored, though, that
you should be. First of all, you should be honored. Second of all, thank you for putting yourself out on a limb. I would say a lot of the people I'm friends with are putting themselves out on a limb, and they're activists. They have to do something. Right now, I want to show the trailer. The film is called The Heist.
It's called Heist.
Heist. Okay, Heist.
But in their blindness, they forget what the flag and the Constitution stand for.
Wow. Love. This is, it's huge. How are people going to see this film?
Very easily. We wanted it to go on YouTube so that everybody could see it. So it's on YouTube. You just go to Heist, the documentary film.
Heist, the documentary film. That's where I got the heist from.
There's many heists. There's so many movies called
There was
Heist.
a film made like in the right
so
when I was
films.
Googling, but
no,
right.
There's so many films called
Heist,
Heist.
the documentary film. That's what you have to remember. If you're watching the show and you forget and you do want to watch, you've got to see this film. I have to tell you, I was filled with rage and tears after watching it. And the thing is, I really want you to get this Emmy, not because I think you're a fabulous person, because you put yourself out on a limb to make this film. And if you get this Emmy, this film will go everywhere. And people will be they're going to be forced to have to look at the elephant in the room. We have a great history, especially now during this administration. People are so horrified at everything that's going on, they can't even look at what has happened.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's really hard to.
It's hard.
I used to be an MSNBC junkie. During the first term, I used to sit there all, night long from Ari Melber to the last show, to Lawrence O'Donnell, and I can't right now. So I feel like the activism, we may go back and do a second part of this because people are running for office, or they're really trying to figure out either a way to work in the private sector or to have lawsuits that are going to mean
right. But
something.
that's the high note, right? That's the aftermath, and it's not laying down and being helpless. It's pushing back, and we all talk about doing that.
Yeah.
I just personally feel every day I think it's getting better because we read more about who's doing what, and then another horrific thing happens, and that's how they do it. This is how they get you. They make you think. They gut you like a fish.
Yes, that's a good
right?
way to put
they
it.
gut you like a fish.
That's the way it
right.
feels, and they pick some other enemy to have. And some other. It's been really hard. My mom passed away last summer, but I was so happy in a way that she passed away, because her one wish was that Kamala Harris would win and we would have our first female president.
Right.
Like, this country hasn't had a female president.
No, it hasn't.
And it's tragic.
Mexico does.
I know.
But we don't.
Yeah.
I know.
So I'm happy that my mom didn't have to see that and have to witness that, because it was so it brutalized most of us.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we are all still brutalized, and that's why I said the fact that you're continuing to push your own agenda forward. This is a very, very important film. So it is available on YouTube. What are the negative comments? You haven't had,
First of all, actually, we
because there's
we
crazies out
didn't
there.
want to make it open for comments, because there are crazies out there.
Yeah.
And also we were very concerned about the people in it. Some
Yeah.
of them have their name, and we just didn't want people to comment and go, oh, such and such a name, so we
Yeah.
just left it
You
alone.
left it, right?
So
You just run
far,
the film,
and there's
yeah.
been no when the arrow points down, I don't think anybody has,
when the right when
when the thumb
thumbs
points down,
right?
I don't think anybody has even put
Well, I have my fingers crossed for
Thank
you
you.
and Rebecca for tomorrow. Of course, if I don't see it in the news, you'll let me know.
absolutely.
You'll let me know what's going on.
Absolutely.
So you do, though, have a history of, reaching out. I know you were involved with a Cuban film festival.
Well,
I'm like, when I read that, I'm like, wait
I
a minute,
know,
she's
no,
not
it's-
Cuban.
No, not at all. But my partner in the film, I had a film theater called the Jean Renoir Cinema, which we started a block away from here. It was on
I love that it was
11th
downtown.
Street. It was
Yeah.
right over here, and we showed a week of Jean Renoir films for our first week, because Jean Renoir, we got his permission to use his name, and we were going to do independent films and film festivals. And my partner, Ray Blanco, was Cuban, and so we did the first Cuban film festival.
I love
And
it.
by that point, we were at another theater, and the Projectionists Union was striking us because they were unlawfully charging us too much money to run projection, and we were trying to negotiate a deal
Of
with them.
course.
So they sent out all their retired guys with placards saying that the Jean Renoir is unfair to union, whatever. And so we thought the right wing Cuban population was
Right.
going to bomb us, but it wasn't. It was the projectionists. So
Like,
James
no.
Baldwin, the brilliant James
Brilliant.
Baldwin.
Brilliant.
I have a picture of him looking through the picket line because he was going to go see the films that we had there. And one of my favorite films was about the ballet dancer, Alicia Alonso.
Ah, yeah, of
And
course.
so that was one of our films that wasn't political at all, really. It was just a beautiful film about her life. And we were the first theater ever in this country. And we were kids. My partner, he was all of 23 years old. I was 26 at the time. Our third partner was the first female member of the Projectionists Union. It was very crazy.
I totally love it. And it's the fact, you do come from such a mainstream career. It's about as mainstream as you can get. And yet it's important to you to get out there because you've got something to say.
Yes. The way the film theater started was Ray was a film distributor probably when he was 20 years old. He was writing film reviews for this paper called White Arrow. And he booked one of Wim Wenders' film in a theater on 72nd Street called the Embassy, I believe it was. And, that area of town is a primarily Jewish area. I'm Jewish, so I have
the Upper West Side Jewish area.
I have a tremendous sensitivity. And so Ray booked this wonderful film in there that was Wim Wenders' film. And there were a lot of people who would not go to the theater because they felt that a German film should not be playing there. And this film had nothing to do with World War II, nothing.
But you still have this stigma. It was a German film.
And I felt that it was unfair to Ray. And it was unfair that people had this prejudice towards fine artists who were so sympathetic to, the whole period of Nazism. But and I said to Ray, I said, well, if you had your own film theater, you could do the publicity the way you needed to do it. And the next thing I know, we had our own.
I'm sorry,
theater.
you were all of like 20 something years of age.
And I was doing Ryan's Hope.
And
so
you were,
I had
of course,
full-time,
like,
I had a full-time.
I love it.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I love it. Well, we have some comments, and I always like to read the comments. Let's see who we have over here. Okay, Karen, Benji Bradshaw, wonderful singer, performance artist, stylized, just incredible. I love Benji, and he always tunes in. Rose Trentman had been the female boxing commissioner. I think you met her at the Explorers Club that night.
What is her name again?
Rose Trentman.
Oh, of course.
Beautiful, dark-haired lady,
Yes,
great, bubbly personality.
Of course.
Oh,
amazing.
Hi, Rose. Thank you for always tuning in. Benji Bradshaw, of course, was on there. Of course, Benji wants a kitty suit. Benji, I fully expect you to create a kitty suit. I think we planted a seed for you here today. So, yeah. Rose says, I love it. The miltity snowsuit. I love it.
The Millikitty.
It was Millikitty, but yeah, Millikitty. But you know what? There you go, Benji. I have given you a really great idea for a snowsuit there. We expect to see it on stage. So great having you here today. First of all, having someone with your background here at Pangea. I love doing this.
I played here with my band.
What do you remember when it was? It was before COVID, you said?
Yeah, it was before. I'd say it was like probably either 2017 or 2018. It was July 30th. It was my birthday. We had a big party out here and a great show. And Scott Yanni, my producer, who I have an album that's out on either Amazon or iTunes called "I'm Not Done With You Yet," and it's a jazz tinged, all original songs.
Just do it all
that I wrote. Well,
you do it all. You have a book also.
Well, I wrote the foreword for the Ryan's Hope book, but also the Grease book. We were asked to write our own stories.
So if you want,
have several stories in the Grease book called "Tell Me More, Tell Me More," and all of the Grease people.
Song,
yes, all the Grease people, shared their crazy stories, and I have some really crazy stories in there
from being in Greece. So great. If you are coming to Pangea, June 4th, Carol Lipnick is performing here. She's amazing. I saw her right before the pandemic and a couple of times since. I love Carol, and I could see her again and again, and it's always fantastic. And June 11th, during Pride Month, we have the Pride edition coming from Mina Hartog, really great comedian. She's been on my show. It's Mina Hartog and Friends, and hope you stop by. I will definitely be at that performance too. I'm going to try and make Carol as well. There's just not enough hours in the day to support all the wonderful talent that we have here.
You can never be bored here.
You can never be bored, right? They say you can never be too rich or too thin, but I also say you can never be bored.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit you with one loaded question before we go. We know about the Emmy nomination. We know that's happening tomorrow. In your vision for yourself, what's next? If you can share
That's a really good question.
It's a tough one.
The next thing is I'm doing a play with my friend Nelson Aspin, and my boyfriend Gary Donatelli is going to be directing it. And it was written by Joanna Pickering, and it's called Sylvie and Sly, and it's about I guess you'd say an out-of-work actress who's still trying to stay relevant. And Nelson plays my social media manager,
Because she's trying to stay relevant.
Yeah,
that's a funny role.
Bikini photos and everything. And there's a particular twist on it. And it's a very funny play. And we're going to be doing it as a vertical. We're going to be doing it.
Yeah, explain to people because not everybody knows.
I don't know.
So I auditioned for verticals. I did one vertical, but I still, how do you explain what a vertical is?
It's on a phone. And it's the way that people are watching things now, because people's attention span is like a minute long.
Right.
So we're going to be doing it in little episodes, little 1 or 2 minute segments of a 28-page play that Joanna wrote.
And you get people to stay tuned for the next one.
I guess I've never done one of these before.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is you can watch it while you're on the subway. I save all that stuff for when I'm on the subway or waiting for a bus or whatever. And you're right, everyone, our attention spans have just been blown out of the water.
I know. So
I love that you're doing this.
Yeah. And it's going to be really interesting. And it's 28 pages that I haven't totally finished memorizing yet.
You're amazing. And you have no problem memorizing.
No, I have a little more problem than I used to. But I think it's because I have attention deficit, because the world is so crazy that my mind is always going like, what is going on in the news
Right,
today?
but I don't know, because I also think, and this relates to me, I sometimes have a very hard time focusing,
Mhm.
and I never had that. So your trick
No.
of writing it down again and
Right.
again, and then the new thing, because I write political parodies. I'm not a singer, but I sing them, and I have a trick where I sing it. I record me singing it, and then I play it in
Yes.
my headphones at the gym. Do you
Speaking
think
of-
that that's a good
Well,
idea?
yeah, speaking of political parodies,
Yes.
I have one on that my friend Cynthia Adler, who's a brilliant writer, she wrote, instead of let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, it's climate change, no, no, no. And that's on YouTube.
Climate change, no, 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 no,
yeah.
no.
And we're these rich bitches, and we're like complaining about, like, you think there's climate change? And we just did another one. If he only had a brain, and we're like 6-year-olds talking about.
I love this. I'm glad I brought up the parodies.
I'm glad you did.
See, I knew she had more up her sleeve.
Yeah. So we're gonna figure out the visuals on that. I think we're gonna do that as like drawings come to life.
I love that, though.
Yeah,
you know?
Cynthia Adler's very, very
It's all great stuff. Well, I usually, when Tim is here, Tim always takes a
Ooh,
picture.
who's that?
That's motivation to get through my day. I'm looking for my camera on here. Come on, Mr. Camera, where are you? I'm having phone problems. I always like to take a picture, but I can also do that when we're finished here today. Thank you for everybody who tuned in to watch, and we will be back, of course, next week. I think Tim is going to be gone, I think, for the next week, or possibly the week after. It's very hard to keep up with everyone's schedule. I can hardly keep up with mine, but our amazing guest, Ilene Kristen, is up for an Emmy, and she's going to be hitting us with the news about that.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, right? Thank you, everybody who tuned in today, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.